and welcome to CX Today. I'm Susie Harrison, Senior Content Editor, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Ben Booth, who is CEO and co-founder at MaxContact. So thanks for joining me, Ben.
Hello, and thanks for having me. Good.
So today we're going to be exploring the contact centres in 2025 and how to build next year's success today. So to start that off, what do you see as the dominant trends that you expect in 2025 in the contact centre? And if you were to give one piece of advice to contact centres about the technological adoption they need to be making, what is that one technology you'd urge them to get on board with?
I think we're going to see a continuum of the trends that we've seen in 2024. So there's the AI adoption. That's not moving anywhere. The number one term we're hearing across clients and the industry in general is operational efficiencies. How do we bring them in? How do we do it in a meaningful way? How do we communicate that to the organisation? I think we're going to see a continuation. I think the difference will be now, as we've got over that initial hype around AI that's been present for the last 12 to 18 months, it's going to be implementation of AI and technology that actually delivers a return on investment. And that return on investment needs to be measurable, feasible, tangible. And I think that's what's going to, the slight shift that's going to come in next year.
So you've alluded there to it being the year of proof for AI in 2025. So can you elaborate on how companies can measure the ROI of their AI investment and identify the areas where it's delivering the most value?
Yeah, there's a starting point, and it's introducing simple frameworks. So if you use, as an example, IFF, so impact, feasibility, frequency of challenges that your contact centre is currently experiencing, and then based on what you find, that's where you should focus, where you're delivering technology to solve those problems, which has a higher likelihood of returning the return. And then common areas where, especially on the feasibility that we're seeing most common is saving time. So, for example, auto summarization, anything you can automate like ID&V checks. We're seeing now more frequently summaries. So it looks back over a period of time and presents 7 days worth of summaries to an agent. So again, save time to get them up to speed. Still automation. I do think automation should be brought in where feasible. I think one of the challenges we see in the contact center world is there's a lot of terminology around AI can replace all agents. Now, all agents all perform different jobs and at varying degrees. And I think a broad terms like all in all contact centers is actually unfeasible at the moment. So look at feasibility, look at where it can have the most impact. And I think there's also an evolution in how the metrics we use in contact centers. So traditional, your AHTs, etc. Well, if you automate these simple tasks, inevitably, and your agents are dealing with more complex issues, your AHT actually is going to go up as an example. But then we're going to look at, your chatbot completion rates, and there's a whole new form of metrics that need to come in. And when we've seen contact centers adopt technology, they've not necessarily been prepared of what the new metrics need to be, and I think that needs consideration up front. And if you take that as an approach, I think it can be a lot more successful.
So what would your advice to be to contact centre managers and operators on how to distinguish between what should be an AI task and what should be a human task? And also, at what point within an AI engagement should there be a human in that loop or a handover to a human?
Yeah, it starts simple. Again, use a framework a study. There's also the message to the agents. There's the market is currently we're going to replace agents. What does that mean to my job? I think if we need to adopt a communication style that is we're going to automate these simple tasks that are most common, most frequent. Simple examples are ID&V checks, checking balances, delivery dates. They're things that absolutely I think should be automated. And just look at the impact that has and go a bit slower rather than trying to automate everything. So we always say it's a journey, and the journey starts on the journey, not trying to get to the destination at the end. So work internally, look at your current metrics, pick up those use cases and start where you can actually measure value. And again, people do need to think about those key metrics they are measuring, because quite often we've seen a shift in, we've mentioned average handle time, but answer rates. We've seen a shift in abandons or call volumes and when these technologies have introduced. The second thing I would say consider is, at the moment, there is certainly a behaviour to send everyone to the automation first, and that's to try and automate the tasks before introducing an agent or sending them down a different path. The issue there is the example I use is if you automate 10 out of 15 of your current problems, but you send everyone there first, then 33% of your inbound is going through an automation path that doesn't lead to a successful outcome and actually prolongs that successful outcome. And what we need to think about is how early we verify what can be automated with that inbound interaction or even outbound, and send it down the automation path or introduce the human much earlier on, which is currently getting neglected at a lot of contact centres.
So in terms of the limitations of AI at the moment, obviously AI is evolving as fast as any other technology, and we're getting to the stage where people are starting to talk about agentic AI, where AI can make decisions. But as we are today, what do you see as the key limitations of AI, and how are businesses working to address those?
In the AI in general, reasoning is a problem, and decision making is an area that requires considerable consideration. So, and decisions in self. So, again, it's a broad term. Asking an AI to make a decision or reduce the amount of decisions if you're looking at a holiday. So, if AI could look at your past history, where you've been, what hotels you've booked, what you like, and narrow down that decision-making process for you. And that is a much different decision than, say, you're contacting your GP and an AI is offering advice for medical reasons. And that is one of the problems when we talk about AI and things like decisions. It's a broad term. So AI absolutely can help with decisions based on history, but there is limitations there because reasoning's not there. Cascading decisions can be a problem because AI is not 100% accurate. So even AI at 90, 85%, which is what the studies say, if you cascade decisions based on outcomes, then that very quickly can get to 60, 50% accuracy. So it's understanding where the limitations are, where the best use cases are, and where it can absolutely deliver value. But when we use things like decision making and reasoning, that it doesn't apply to everything.
And obviously, I don't think we can have a conversation about AI without broaching the issues of security, trust, ethics. So with implementing guardrails and deciding where to place those guardrails, what steps do you think companies need to take to ensure that their AI systems are working in an ethical and safe way?
Yeah, there's understand. There's a bit of an understanding of the technology AI, and everyone says AI for everything. Large language models, the NLP, how they work. I think where we're going to see a bit of a transition that's already started happening is these massive large language models that can answer any question and understand. If you ask what was happening in history in 1500, it'll be able to give you an answer. They're actually going to go much narrower and smaller and specific, which actually adds guardrails because it doesn't understand questions like, what should I do tonight? Should I take this decision or that decision? Because the language model doesn't understand what you're talking about. And then there's also the implementation of training the model based on things like internal knowledge bases. So, for example, if you have a knowledge base that's already written and you train the model based on that information alone, then anything outside of that scope, it's unable to answer, which adds the guardrails. But there needs to be an understanding that when ChatGPT first burst on the scene and everyone introduced AI, and they were basically hooking into OpenAI and ChatGPT, you opened up conversations with your consumers about any topic, and the guardrails weren't there. Just having the understanding, making sure the guardrails are there, making sure the information the AI can answer it does have that limitation, and understanding what happens with that data as well. So the data privacy, etc., for consumers needs to be considered, and regulation will come. It's inevitable. And that guardrails will also safeguard the decisions you make now for the technology you use when these regulations do come down the line as well.
Great. Well, I mean, there's lots to come, isn't there? And it's going to remain a fascinating area of the contact centre world. So thank you, Ben, for joining me and discussing this today.
Okay.
And thank you to our viewers for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please do like and subscribe to the channel. And of course, keep an eye on cxtoday.com for more stories like these. So thank you, Ben, and thank you everyone for joining us today.
Thank you.